All right, welcome back everyone. Today I'm here with Shannon once again. We are going to be going through a lower body focused class with a lot of lower body and some core and breathing. So we're gonna get the abs involved, a lot of breath work, a lot of lower body, but we're gonna start with cars as always. So we are going to start with the neck, the cervical spine. Shannon's going to create tension throughout her body, her feet grip the floor, arms creating tension, abs, big breath in, big breath out. Abs go on, and now she goes chin down into flexion. She's gonna chin across her shoulder. She's gonna draw her head back as she looks up towards the ceiling, and all she's trying to do is draw the biggest circle with her chin that she can, as if she had a marker on her chin that she's literally drawing a circle around. So chin comes down into flexion. We're gonna do 2 circles in each direction. Always remember, we're trying to go slow here. The slower you go, the better. This is not about doing fast circles, it's about doing it slower. And we want to avoid pinching pain on the closing side. So if there is closing side pain, we skip that. We can always come around it. So if you have pain right here, you can go to here, come back around, go back down. And we're trying to extend that circle every little bit, making sure nothing else is moving. From her neck down is a statue. It's frozen in ice, it's frozen in cement. Each time trying to eke out just a millimeter more, just another little drop of movement. This is just our warm up for the day. We're going to be doing all lower body and core focus, so those upper body cars are the only upper body things we're doing for today. All right. We're going to do the scapula from an extended position. So I'm going to give Shannon this yoga block. She's going to extend her hands in front of her. This could be a water bottle, anything. A yoga block just works well. It could be anything that's kind of light. So you can create a little tension into the block. Abs go on again. She's going to start by punching forward into protraction. Bring her ears up. Her shoulders up to her ears. Her shoulders go back as she pinches, like you're trying to squeeze something behind, and then down. So we're going 4 corners. It's down and forward, up and forward, up and back, down and back. But once you have those 4 corners, we want to smooth it out into more of an oval. So you're not going 1, 2, 3, 4 as much as you're trying to draw a circle with the shoulder blades moving around the still torso. So what I want here is to not see a lot of this happening. So I don't want to see the spine flexing and extending. It's all about the scapula, the shoulder blades moving around the body. After you get a few circles there, we're going to reverse it and go in the other direction. So whichever direction you were going before, now we just reverse that circle. Recheck tension, recheck the feet, recheck the glutes. The arms are literally squeezing this. Whatever you have here, if it's a water bottle, if it's a pillow, squeeze it. Use that tension to solidify the rest of your body. But the more tension you can create when you're doing cars in the rest of your body, the better the particular circle of that joint is going to be, because it helps you not move. You're going to make sure the elbows are straight here. The elbows are going to want to do this. Make sure they're staying super straight. Just do 1 more circle. Good, awesome. All right, we are going to go shoulders now, full shoulder cars. Let's do this from a half kneeling position. So we're going to get into half kneeling. This is 1 foot down, and like Shannon is right here. We always want knees stacked on top of ankle, hip stacked on top of knee. So put your foot out a little bit too much where I don't want it. So I don't want this where your foot is all the way out in front, or bring it back, or if it was like here behind, exactly. So I want perfect 90-degree angles, 90 degrees at this knee, 90 degrees at this knee. Now, to create tension, this is something we're going to be coming back to a lot throughout today. We're going to create tension by digging that front foot down into the floor, and you should feel your hamstring activate. So it's as if you're trying to do this, just get a little activation of your hamstring. And then this front leg is going to push forward a little bit. So I'm almost making a little scissoring action, and that's going to create a lot of tension in the lower body. We're going to use that to solidify, and then we're going to start with shoulder bars. So Jen's going to create tension with that scissoring motion. Her hamstrings are working. Her back leg is working in the front hip flexor. All right, and we're going to come up into shoulder flexion as we rotate. So as you're coming up, it's as if she's trying to rotate away, her pinky away from her midline. When she maxes out, slow it down a little bit. She's going to rotate back around and continue that rotation, but she's reaching behind her. And then when she can't reach behind anymore, she's going to swing that arm down her thigh. And then we're going to reverse circle. An important thing to remember here, Shannon wants to lean. She's doing perfectly because she's not moving at all. You're gonna wanna rock forward and back. This is why it's always great to record yourself, or if you have a mirror around and watch yourself, you're gonna see you don't feel like you're moving. Oftentimes we're rocking back a little bit. Slow it down just a little. Yeah, you really want to, again, this is the only upper body work we're doing. You want to really get into the shoulders. Straighter elbow, straighter elbow. You want to make sure you're gonna, as you come up and around, you're gonna do this, or you're gonna, as you're coming up, you're gonna lean away from it. Try to notice these little micro movements, and over time, that's what we're fighting to get away from. Make sure those legs are still creating tension. Make sure the abs are still creating tension. Good. Switch legs. So remember, when we're doing this, the shoulder is moving. Everything else is tight. Hence, this hamstring is on. This front hip flexor is on. These abs are on. This arm is squeezing. It's creating tension. The rest of her body, if I try to push her over, she's not going to move. A little bit. But she's creating tension. That's the point. Straighten that elbow more. Straighten that elbow more. Fight for a little bit more. Again, we win in millimeters here. Rotate away. Rotate away. Rotate away. Reach behind. And then give that big high five to someone behind you. Yeah. Foot grabs the floor. There's a lot of things going on here, but that's the point. Slower is better also. The slower you go, the more effect you're going to get out of this, the more control. CARS stand for controlled articular rotations. The C, control, is the big word here. If you're just doing this and just flopping around, you're not doing anything. Right? The point is not to do circles. The point is to control the circles and teach your body how to use its joints like it's supposed to. Good. Finish this last circle here. Remember the tension with the legs. A lot of times as we're getting towards the end of the set, we lose that tension. Good. All right, we're going to go to tall kneeling for elbows and wrists. So we're just doing this from a slightly different position today. Arms out. So we're just going to do 3 rotations in each position. So Shannon is rotating her elbows here, but she's trying to make sure the elbow pit stays forward. So she's rotating her forearm on a still upper arm. You see up here is not moving. So she's trying to go internally rotate as much as she can, externally rotate as much as she can without letting this come along for the ride. Shannon is doing perfectly. But to see what it should look like, so you should be watching yourself. Don't watch Shannon, but watch your own arm, your pits of your elbow here. Because if this moves, go ahead and do one where it moves, Shannon. So if that happens, where your elbow pit moves in, that means you're rotating through the shoulder. That means you're not rotating through the elbow, which is what we're trying to do right now. So we're going to come up to now these waiter hands. Same thing. You're watching the elbow pit. Your own elbow pit is what's going to tell you if you're doing this right or wrong. If you're moving, if your forearm is moving and your elbow pit is staying the same, that's what we want. That means you're getting a little internal and external rotation through that elbow joint. It's not a lot. It's not going to move a lot, but it is going to move a little bit. And the more you practice, the more it'll go. And each time you want to fight for a little bit more. So if we find that end, just fight for a little bit more. Feel the end range. This is true end range, and that we don't usually get. Right? Get hands up by the face, exactly this. And it's going to be less here. Different positions are going to feel different. You're going to have less internal and external rotation, and that's okay. When we're done here, we're going to go, let's go overhead Y hands. This is a challenging one for the wrist. So now I'm looking for Shannon's hand to move, but nothing from here on down. So she's going to go circles with the wrist. But again, you can do one hand at a time. That's especially if you're pretty new to this, because your arms are going to move. So you want to be able to watch one hand and make sure there's no rotation through that forearm, there's no rotation through the shoulder. From the wrist down to the shoulder should be like a statue. There should be no movement. If it gets a little bit in or out like that, that means we did the wrong thing. So if you're moving your wrist and you see this, so you see this guy's face on my arm, if he's moving around, that means that you're doing something wrong. That means you're not getting true wrist rotation. That means you're getting elbow rotation or shoulder rotation. And that's always what we want to watch for. So do one arm at a time, watch it, do the other arm, pause the video, come back, that's fine. We're just doing both arms at the same time for the sake of time of this video. You can feel free to pause, do one arm. You can do different positions, so sometimes even holding your arm to make sure, because again, if I feel my arm move, there's lots of different ways to do this. The point is that we're getting the rotation through the wrist and nothing else. Okay, we're gonna go down quadruped, we're gonna hit some cat-cows first. Let's turn sideways. Good. And then we're gonna do some side lying hits. All right, so we're gonna go cat-cow. So Shannon's gonna come flex all the way up. She's trying to get maximum flexion here. So she's trying to touch her entire spine to the ceiling, and she's bringing this nice arc. So this would be cow spine in yoga, camel, whatever you want to call it. So we're gonna do a wave from her sacrum all the way up to her head. So she's gonna start going into extension by rotating her pelvis, her butt up a little bit, and then she's gonna try to go vertebrae by vertebrae and just go slowly as she can and control each spinal vertebrae extension. A lot of times when you do this, if you watch yourself somehow in a mirror, if you record yourself, you're gonna see it just goes. You don't have that ability to move one spine at a time. But that's what we're going for. We're trying to learn how to control the body in single segments. It's not a skill that we are born with, but it is something that we all have the ability to do with time and with practice. So Shannon's just going top to bottom, top to bottom to top, bottom to top, from flexion to extension, flexion to extension. So she's trying to go bottom, mid, upper back, all the way up to her neck, and finish from maximum flexion to maximum extension. This is one of those things, one of the best things you can do for your spinal health, for back issues, for stiffness, for an achy back, moving your spine. Our back is stiff. What's the opposite of stiff is movement. So the more we can move our spine, if you go to do this segmental cat-cow, and you realize that everything moves in one chunk, that you can't segment piece by piece by piece, and it just goes 1, 2, that is the definition of stiffness. Your back is stuck together. Your spinal vertebrae, which there are 27 of, yeah, see, I got that one, which there are 27 of, if they all move in one chunk, that's one segment. That's not 27 individual vertebrae, right? So if you can't move them piece by piece, that is literally the definition of your spine being stiff, right? So you can practice this, and this will have a lot of benefit for your back. When your back can move better, your hips can move better. When your back can move better, your shoulder can move better. Everything comes from the spine. So that's why this stuff is so, so, so important. All right, we're gonna go side lying for hips right now. All right, so we're gonna do some side lying hip bars. So Shannon's gonna make a nice pillow for herself. This could be a yoga block too. This could be an actual pillow. Get comfortable here a little bit. She's gonna have her hand out in front a little bit. You don't have to do a big reach, but just somewhere for balance. All right. She wants that this top hip is stacked on top of the bottom hip. So I don't want this where she's kind of rolled out. Yep. Same thing with the shoulder. Top shoulder stacked on top of bottom shoulder. Now, to create tension, she's gonna push with this hand into the floor. She's also gonna think about bringing her bottom ribs off the floor. So I don't want her to be like a banana where she's kind of slumped into the floor like this. Yep, I want her to bring these bottom ribs off the floor, and automatically she's gonna feel her core when she does that. Now she's gonna take a big breath in, blow her abs on, good. Now this arm pushes into the floor, this bottom leg pushes into the floor, and now she's gonna start her cars by bringing her knee up to her chest. She's gonna open up to the side. Once she can't open anymore, she's gonna rotate her heel up towards me, and then kick back to find her glute. What I don't want to see here is any movement through the torso. So she should not be rolling back or forth. If you have something behind you, you shouldn't knock into it. So a great cue is if you have like a foam roller or something like that, or a book or a water bottle, put it behind your low back, behind your sacrum. And if you knock it over as you go through your bar, you know that your hips move back. I can stand here behind Shannon, so I know if she moves, she's gonna bump into me. But if you don't have someone to do that, a wall, a foam roller, a book, a water bottle, anything like that. So she's gonna extend here, kick back, feel the glute. She's gonna keep her heel high as she opens up the knee up towards the sky. When her knee can't get any higher, slow it down. She's gonna swing the heel around, bring the knee up to the chest, keep bringing it up, 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 up. And then all the way down. Same thing, we're not losing the ribs off the floor. The ribs are gonna wanna dip down every time. Let's switch sides, that's fine. Just 2 reps on each side. So we're not forgetting about that tension. Again, her arm is pushing into the floor. This top arm, literally creating tension into the floor. This bottom leg is literally pushing into the floor. These ribs are up, her abs are on. Nice and slow here. Knee comes to chest first. When she opens up here, her inclination is going to be to let her pelvis spill over. I don't want that. I don't want this moving back in space. Slow. Now she's going to rotate her heel towards the sky as she kicks back to try to find me without losing all of this. You see, she doesn't get very far. She doesn't kick back very far because she's keeping her core super tight. Core tight again. Recheck the abs. Recheck the ribs off the floor. Kick back. Again, there's not a lot here. There's not a lot of distance. If you're getting 10 feet behind you with your kickback, you're doing something wrong probably. Up. When you reach as high as you can with this knee, the heel is going to start to rotate down as the knee comes up towards the chest. Good. Was that one? Yes. All right, so again, knee comes up to the chest. When this opens, the pelvis doesn't move. You see my hip, she's not getting nothing here. Rotate as you kick back. The ribs are still off the floor. This hand is still pushing into the ground. She's creating tension through that bottom leg. Kick back, slow here. Open up, but keep the heel high, keep the heel high, keep the heel high. Then bring the knee all the way to the armpit. Bring it to the armpit. Yeah, bring it to the chest. And then finish. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, let's just stay here for knees. Just scoot back a little. Yep, good job. All right, so we're just going to do the same way we did for elbows. We're going to do internal, external rotation for the knees. So in 3 different positions, we're going to start fully flexed, and she's going to try to rotate her shin inside her knee socket. So she's going to take this bone and try to point it out for external rotation and in for internal rotation. Each time fighting for a little bit more. So we're going to externally rotate, internally rotate. You see there's not a lot of movement here. That's okay. The point is that we're trying. Externally rotate, internally rotate. One more time. Externally rotate, internally rotate. And now she's going to come up to about 90 degrees, and she's going to do the same thing. Externally rotate. You can see her foot is moving, but the foot is not what's driving it. It's actually deep in the knee here. This is what you want to be thinking about. This stuff is what's doing the rotation. Just do 3 in each position. So we start all the way down, 3 here, and then we're going to do 1 with the knee extended. Good. So this one you're going to get very little motion from. Doesn't really matter. Again, the point is always intent. The point is that you're trying. You're sending the signal from your brain down your spinal cord to this knee to make this motion. Because if you don't do that, if you don't send the signal, your knee will never even know that that's a thing that it can do. So the first step is to just try to do it, even if it doesn't move a millimeter. You try, and eventually it'll go. All right, so same here. We're at 3 in the flex position. External, internal, external, internal. Again, fighting for a little bit more each time. Find the end and feel this inner knee stuff doing the motion. And when you do 3 in each position, you're going to go 90 degrees and then extend it. Don't worry about how it looks. Don't worry about how little or how much motion you're getting. The only thing you should be aware of is if your thigh is moving. That's why Shannon is in this headlock position, so she'll feel if her thigh starts moving. If the thigh is moving, that means it's not the knee, it's the thigh, it's the hip. Right? So we want the thigh locked in place as the knee does all the motion. And then you can stay in that position, Shannon, or we'll just do the ankles from here and then go back to the other side. So go to 90 degree knee. So your shin is parallel with the floor. So we're going to go into ankle circles. But again, the shin doesn't move. The shin is now locked in stone. She's creating tension. She's using her arms. She's really squeezing here. If there's any, so now the internal, external rotation we were just looking for, the knee, we're looking to make sure that isn't happening. I don't want to see any internal and external here of that shin bone. I don't want to see any up and down motion of the leg. This is as if it was a stone statue. And her foot is moving around that statue leg. I'm going to do 3 circles in each direction. Again, a very challenging one. Your circles might be very small. If they are, that shows you that you should be doing more and more and more of this. Phone ringing, I'm going to ignore it. All right, let's go. Other ankle on the other side. All right, so same thing. This doesn't move, yep. And she's just moving around that still bone. So show what it would look like if you were to let this move. So you see, if this starts to move a little bit, and now it's the shin is moving as well as the ankle, that means again that, oh, it's cramps, it's okay. Yeah, and especially with the ankles and the wrists, you hear pops, snaps, crackles, it's all good. That's, your bones are just moving around. So sometimes I hear lots of pop, 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 that's okay, as long as it doesn't hurt. Just like I said with the neck, all of this, if I feel a pinchy pain as I'm closing the ankle, so when Shannon comes back to bring her foot towards her leg, if as this ankle is closing, she feels a pinch right here, that's gonna be something we wanna avoid. That's gonna be something you need to see a PT or manual therapist or someone about. But as long as it's not that, if it's just crampy or whatever, then we're all good. Let's do from the bottom of a squat. Yeah, this is a tough one. You can't get into this position and hold it for time. Don't worry, just do your toes from a standing position. But we're gonna try toes from the bottom of the squat, which instantly makes it much harder. Shin's gonna get almost no toe motion here, but the point is she's gonna put all 4 outside toes into the floor and then try to wiggle that big toe 5 times up and down. Because we're in hip flexion and knee flexion and ankle dorsiflexion, this just makes it so much harder. Your body is doing a ton of things right now. So we're just gonna do 5 big toe taps, then 5 times keep the big toe down and tap the outer 4 toes. Try, again, this is about intent. It might not actually happen, and if it doesn't, that's okay. It's just about the intent. Even if your toes don't move an inch off the ground or a millimeter, the point is that, again, you're sending the signal from your brain to your toes to do that thing. Eventually it will work. Eventually it will click. That's the entire point. All right, once you do all big toe down, all 4 up, then you go all 5 up, tap the big toe down 5 times, and then keep the big toe up, and we go piano keys 5 times, pinky, whatever to big toe. I don't know, did your middle 3 toes have names?
Second, third, and fourth.
Second, third, and fourth. Pinky, second, third, and fourth, and then big toe. So we try to, and then when you're done, stand up, and we're going to get started. All right, so we are going to find a position against the wall. So find somewhere that you can lay on your back with your feet up against the wall in this 90-degree position. And we're going to start by doing some breathing and some hamstring activation. So Shannon is here. She has a natural kind of curve in her low back. So she's not crushing her low back into the floor. She's just kind of where she would be naturally, but she's trying to sit on her sit bones, not on her sacrum. So she wants to be sitting on the meaty part of her upper butt as opposed to that flat part of the low back where your tailbone kind of is. From here, she's going to push her feet into the floor, the wall, and kind of dig down a little to find her hamstrings. So just a little bit to create a little bit of pressure to get those hamstrings turned on, just like when we were in the half 90 position while we were doing cars. Okay? Now we're just going to do a few deep breathing cycles. So she's going to big breath in, into the belly, into the chest, fill up everything, and then she's going to blow hard to turn on the abs. So we're getting all this frontline stuff turned on. We're using the out breath to turn on the abs and the deep core. This is super important. When I say forceful exhale, you hear Shannon do it. Go again, big breath in, and blow hard. Blow, keep blowing, and then hold on empty, hold on empty, hold on empty. When you blow hard and then hold on empty, you should feel the front abs working. This is not Shannon inhaling and going, right? It's exhaling through pursed lips, long, forceful exhales. Blow out a fire, right? There's a fire on the ceiling. She's not blowing out birthday candles, she's blowing out a campfire, right? On the ceiling, like they're trying to blow the roof off of, what is it, Big Bad Wolf. Good. Big breath in, just 2 more breaths, and these are each time holding on empty every time. Good, blow. Still, don't forget the hamstrings. The hamstrings are still here. Her feet are trying to drag the wall down just a little bit. 1 more time. This should be uncomfortable, but you should feel the ribs and the pelvis move together at the end of every exhale. So you see, just do 1 more. You see when Shannon inhales, her chest puffs up and her pelvis goes up. And when she exhales, those things come together. And that's what we want. We're looking for that connection between the pelvis and the ribs, because that's what really gets the abs turned on. Breathe regular for a second. All right. So Shannon's going to take this block and put it between her legs, so she has something to squeeze. This could be also a foam roller. Foam roller is kind of gigantic, so we're not using it, but if you have a half foam roller, that would be awesome. An empty water bottle that's kind of hard would be good, or I guess a full water bottle would be fine too, if it's like one of those smart waters or something. But just something that you can create a little pressure internally in squeezing in here. So now we're going to, again, big breath in, big breath out, blow hard. She's gonna find the hamstrings, and she's gonna pull down here with her feet to bring her sacrum and her butt just an inch off the floor. So now she's holding, so the hamstrings are working just to hold this position. Now what Shannon's gonna do, she's gonna think about shifting her hips. She's gonna bring this knee, this entire femur down towards the floor, and this leg up towards the sky. It's not shifting that way, up and down. So this leg shifts down, and this leg shifts up. So we're trying to do this. Imagine like you're running, your hips shift, exactly. So this knee is coming up towards the sky as this knee comes down towards the floor, and then she's reversing. Yep, and we're just getting a little bit of rotation in the pelvis, and we're getting this deep pelvis stuff warmed up. She's still squeezing in here, her hamstrings are still working, she's floating off the floor, her core is still on. There's a lot of things going on here, and it's not a lot of motion, but the point is that she's trying to shift up, yep, and down, and think about how the pelvis looks when we run or when we walk or anything like that. This is the same thing that we're doing here. All right, we're gonna do this for another 10 seconds or so, just shifting back and forth. Yeah, we're trying to get as much movement in the pelvis as possible. And then, that's fine, lower down for a second. Good, breathe regular, find yourself, find your breath. So next, we're going to go, you're going to lose the yoga block. It's fine for a second. We're going to take a few breaths here. We're always going to come back to a regular breathing, but whenever we start, whenever we're about to go, the rule is blow to go. Always, before we start any movement, we're going to do that big inhale, forceful exhale to turn the front line abs on. That's before we do any movement. That is rule number one, because that gets the core engaged straight from the breath, right? You don't have to think about flexing your abs, you just think about blowing hard, blow, 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 blow. And I say again, blow hard, it's not this, it's and blow. See, I can't talk at the end because I've actually blown out every little bit of oxygen in my body. All right, ready? So we're gonna do the same thing again. Big breath in, blow hard, find the hamstrings, feet dig down. All right, now we're gonna lift that sacrum just an inch off the floor. Good, and now we're going to find the left hamstring only and bring your right knee into your chest. Yep, and hold. Bring it in closer if you can. This is digging down more if you can. And we're gonna 5 breaths here. Big breath in, blow hard. Good, 1. Big breath in. A little more glute, a little more hamstring, get a little higher off the floor. 2, good. Big breath in. Again, when you're breathing in, you're trying not to lose that deep ab stuff. Every out breath makes the abs tighter. Every in breath is just a little bit of air so you don't pass out, and then you blow, blow, blow to get the abs on more. The hamstring is working hard here. This calf is working hard here. This hip flexor is working hard to keep this leg up. 1 more breath, and then we're going to switch legs. Good. Slowly lower. All right. Inhale here. Find that right hamstring now. Blow hard. Right hamstring is on. Left foot lifts. Knee to chest. And if you look at the way Shannon looks, it's flipped upside down, but what does she look like she's doing? She's actually sprinting, right? This is great for runners. Look at how her legs are. She's ambulating. This is exactly what we're doing. So we're getting all these muscles that we normally use in walking and running In high intensity exercises, we're training them in a different way. All right, we're training them isometrically. We're training them to be linked to the breath. There's a lot of benefit of it. You do this as a warm-up. If you're going to go run, it would be a great thing for you. Good. Bring it down. Control. Relax. All right, last thing we're going to do here, you're going to lay on your side, face this way, and be 90 degrees, hips with feet flat against the wall. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so now, side lying. Again, her bicep is making a little pillow. This could be an actual pillow. All right, this hand is going to come out a little bit, just to create a little bit of tension. All right, so what I want you to do, Shannon, is find those bottom ribs. These feet are going to stay pushed against the floor, I keep saying floor, the wall, right? So your feet are staying flat against the wall, both feet. So now you find the bottom ribs. We're going to slide this top hip forward, just like we did in that hip shift in the beginning. And now try to abduct and open up to at maximum abduction without losing your foot on the floor. So you see when Shannon tries to get this top knee away from her bottom leg, she only lifts this high. She could, if she let her foot come off the wall, open up more, she could do this, right? But that's not what we want. We only want as much as we can get without letting this pelvis spill back and without letting that foot come off the wall. Her hip is shifting forward. So now this is staying here. Push up into my hand, push up, push up, push up. So this is actively staying here. Now keeping that bottom foot on the floor, try to adduct and touch your knee to the top knee. Good, that's one. Yeah, it's hard. This arm is pushing into the floor. We're doing reps here. Up, squeeze. Don't let that pinky toe come off the wall. 2, keep this high, high, high. Come to my hand. This, come up. Keep these ribs off the floor. Good. 3. Not a lot of motion here, but this is hard, I promise you. Your inside thigh should cramp. 4. We're just doing 6. Keep things up, 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 up. Make sure those feet stay connected to the wall. 5, one more time. 6, awesome. All right, just flip over and do the same thing. So when Shannon does this from this side, a few things I want you guys to pay attention to. The pelvis and the back, right? So she's going to, same thing, she's going to create tension in the arms. She's going to blow to get her ribs off the floor. The abs are blown on. This hip is going to shift forward. She's going to lift through here. But what's not happening, you see, this didn't move. So again, if she did this wrong, go ahead, Shannon, this would happen, where she spins out, she loses, her back starts to rotate this way, this pelvis starts to rotate this way, anything like that happening is what we don't want. It's as if there was a wall here and she can't move back at all. So that this hip shifts forward a little, it opens up, she's keeping that pressure up into my hand, and now try to find that top leg with the bottom one without letting any of this come off the wall. This is what we're watching here, to make sure the inner foot here doesn't come off the wall, to make sure the bottom pinky toe here doesn't come off the wall. Keep finding this hand, keep finding this hand. Just 6 reps. Find that inside thigh. So the bottom leg, that inside thigh is working hard. You're not actually gonna touch that top knee. This is hard stuff. Check these bottom ribs, make sure you're not banana backing. Keep this up, forward, up, forward. Good job. All right, so Shannon is going to come back to this position we started at, 90 degrees. She's flat on laying on her back. Again, there's a bit of a natural arch in her back, so just pick your shirt up just a little bit. So again, this natural curve is here in her spine. We're going to do some core from this position, so we're going to find a big reach up towards the sky. When I say reach, I don't just mean put your hands up, I mean literally reach, as if we think about those shoulder cars that we started with today with the yoga block, when she protracted forward, right? So I want maximum protraction, try to touch my hands, right? So she's reaching as far as she can. She's gonna find her hamstrings. So her hamstrings are active. They're not working super hard, but they're active. And now she's gonna blow, big breath in, blow hard. So that closes this gap. Now if she's holding that out breath, reach this one arm behind you. Slow. Dig the feet into the wall. Don't let this come apart. Blow more. Hold. Good, come back up. Don't breathe until the full rep is over. So she breathes in, she blows hard. We're doing the same side 5 times. Every time she's blowing, then she goes. Remember, blow to go. She's not forgetting about the hamstrings. She's not forgetting about her feet pushing into the floor. She's trying to hold on empty here. The longer you can stay here on empty, the more this has to work to hold it together, the more your core is cooking. And you notice that when she reaches, this doesn't come apart. This is perfectly still. So from here to here, there's no movement. That's what you want. That's what makes your core move. Your core work. If you reach back and your ribs flare, you're missing the entire point of the exercise. Blow, good, blow, 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 keep blowing, good, reach. So if you feel yourself reaching back and your ribs are flaring, just don't reach back so far. Only go, if you have to stop here, that's fine. You don't have to look like Shannon. Your hand does not have to touch the floor. The point is to only reach back as far as you can where you can still control this. Blow hard. Reach back, reach, 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 hold, 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 feet dig in, find it more, breathe in, blow again. Reach away, get longer, reach my hand, reach my hand, reach my hand, good, blow again, good, come back in, good, that's 5 reps only. Shannon's working hard right now. We're going to the other side now. Reach up, 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 get those shoulder blades away from the floor. Blow hard and then reach. Again, if the ribs move at all, you've lost it. The entire point here is to stabilize the core through the out breath and then keep that stabilization as you start to move your arm. So even if you didn't move your arm, your core is working because the out breath has turned the abs on. If you came back this far, that would be fine. Legs, hamstrings, check. Right? Her low back is not crushing into the floor. She's creating that tension through that forceful exhale. When I say forceful, I cannot, go again, overemphasize what forceful means. If you're just doing wimpy little, or if you're breathing out with an open mouth, you're losing everything. The tension you create through the out breath, through pursed lips, that is where everything is. That's where the gains are. The more you practice this forceful exhale, the less you have to work your abs. Your abs will work when you breathe because you're teaching your abs to turn on through your breath. I don't think about flexing my abs. I think about breathing and my abs are on. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to automate this shit. I don't want you to have to think brace your core. I want you to think and your abs go on. Support, one more. We're gonna hold it. Blow, 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 blow. Reach and hold. Reach and hold. No rib movement. Blow it more. Slow breath into the shoulders and blow again. Hold, hold, hold. Come back in. Good job. All right. Now we're going to flip around and we're going to do some wall push dead bugs. These also equally shitty. All right. So now you're going to lay on your back, but with your hands against the wall. So now, Shannon is going to start with her feet at 90 degrees off the floor. Again, she's finding her sit bones. She's not sitting on her sacrum, she's sitting on her butt. There's a slight natural arch in her low back. Her feet are going to come off the floor. So let your feet actually hang. Yeah, so this is fine because a lot of times people put so much emphasis on having their feet up like that, and then they end up using their hip flexors or something like that. I don't want that. I want this to really be about your core. So just bring, so your knee is perfectly above your hip. All right, so Shannon's gonna big breath in. She's gonna big breath out. She's gonna push, like she's trying to push herself away from the wall, and then she's gonna extend one leg. Extend out, yep, wherever you can get to, but actively pushing here. The more tension you create into the wall, the more your core is gonna work. Okay, she breathes in, she blows hard. 5 times on the same leg. Think about reaching from here. Don't think about reaching from your heel. Think about reaching this out of your socket. Like you're trying to get the thigh to come out of your hip socket. You should feel, when you do that, that deep ab stuff on that side. Think about this is happening. You're trying to hold it in, but the longer your leg gets, the more weight that's going into your abs. Push, push, push through your hands. And again, If you're reaching out so far that your back, your ribs are flaring, your back is crushing into the floor, your pelvis is rotating, that means you're going too hard. Don't worry if you have to keep your leg more bent. Even if you only reach an inch like this, that's adding weight. It's not about how you look, it's about the effort and putting it in the right place. What number is that, 4? All right, last one, we're gonna hold. Push into the wall, push into the wall, push into the wall. Push yourself away, reach, and hold, and hold, and hold. Big breath into the shoulders, big breath out, blow hard. Reach away from my hand, get this away, reach, reach, reach. Good, bring it in. That's 5, we're gonna do 5 on the other side. Good, reset. So when I'm talking about the pelvis too, if you can watch Shannon's pant line right here, right? So this is what I don't want to see moving. So when she brings her feet off the floor, right? Even when she brings this in to bring her thighs just to start, that doesn't move, you see? As opposed to make your pelvis rock, you see now it moved, and that means she's getting that motion through her pelvis and her low back. As opposed to do what you did again, Shannon. She lifts her legs here, but watch this right here. There's no movement there. And that means she's moving her femur inside her pelvis. She's not moving her pelvis, and that's what we want. See, she extends her leg here, but still there's no movement here. So if your pants are rocking back and forth, yeah, that means you're moving your pelvis. You're moving your pelvis, it means you're moving your low back, and that's not what we want. So you need to regress this. Don't worry about getting your foot all the way away from you. If all you can do is lift your feet off the floor up and down, that's fine. The point is that you're using the breath to turn on the abs. You're using the abs to solidify the pelvis, right? It's an order of operations. This is the hardest ab work you can do. This is better than any crunches, any machine at the gym. This is where it's at. This is core. This is real core. This is teaching your deep core stabilizers to stabilize, right? It's in the name, stabilizers. That's what they're supposed to do. Good. 2 more. Blow hard. Don't lose this. You're going to want to stop pushing into the wall. You're going to want to forget about that. Don't forget about that. Good. And like I said, reach that femur out of the pelvis, right? Find those deep TBA muscles. Last one. We're going to hold. Reach it out. Reach it out. Reach it out. Dorsiflex. Kick through the heel a little. Yeah. Breathe in 1 breath. Blow out hard. Blow it out. 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 Hold. 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 Good, bring it in. Good job. All right, so we're going to work some hip flexion and extension, and then some knees as well. So Shannon is in this half 90 position. She's using this stick for balance. If you're at home, this could be a broomstick, this could be a PVC pipe, this could be a wall, this could be a chair, but it's something for balance. You're not just trying to balance on your legs. Then she's going to think about creating that scissor tension that we worked on in the beginning and that we use against the wall. So she's going to find her hamstring by digging her heel back and down into the floor. And then she's going to try to find her front hip flexor by trying to think about bringing her belly button and her belt buckle up towards the sky. So if you imagine you had a big Texas-style cowboy belt buckle and you try to point it up towards the sky, and when you do that, your hips will rotate forward and you should feel the stretch on that front side down leg. Shannon's toes are tucked here, so yours should be as well. And we're just trying to find the stretch on the down leg, so we're working this hip flexor. We're going to start with tails and rails here. The tails are going to be, Shannon is going to think about scooping her knee through the floor. So that scissoring motion where her front leg is coming back, her back leg is going forward, we're going to ramp up to 100% effort of that front leg scooping up and forward as if she could knee someone through the floor. So as if she could go this way and knee someone in front of her. And then the rails are going to be, I'm going to tell her to switch, and she's going to think about extending as if she's doing a glute kickback. But what's important is when we start to go into that kickback, that we don't let the back arch. So we're always going to remember, blow to go. We blow the abs and the ribs together. I mean the pelvis and the ribs. When we kick back, we don't want to lose that. So I don't want this to happen. You notice that when I kick back, my butt pokes up and my ribs extend up. That's because I lost that tension in my core. I lost my connection between my pelvis and my ribs. I don't want that to happen. So if you're kicking back and it's going back like this, I know that you're doing something wrong. True glute extension, hip extension through the glute, when the ribs are connected to the pelvis, is only about 1 inch or 2. So this is as far as I can kick back. So when Shannon goes push back, I don't want to see a lot of actual movement. It's isometric. but she should feel her glute firing like no other. All right, you ready? She's gonna create tension with the stick down into the floor. This hand is creating tension. The front leg is digging out. She blows hard, and now we think scoop that front knee 20%. So 20% is not hard, but she's working, right? We're gonna work up, but we wanna control it. We don't wanna jump right to 100%. 30, 40%, we're turning up the volume. She's starting to work hard. She's still pushing down through this stick. This arm is working hard. 50, 60, 70%, now she's working hard. Now she's squeezing. Now she's really, really working. 80, 90, 100% safest, greatest effort, as hard as you can. If I were to lift Shannon an inch off the floor, her knee should fly forward and kill someone in front of her. For 5, as hard as you can. 4, this front heel is still pushing down. We're still working through the hamstring. 3, 2, 1, and now she's gonna extend like she's trying to touch my hand with her heel. She's trying to find this glute. She's trying to push herself into a deeper hip flexor stretch. So her foot is pushing back, and she's creating a deeper stretch on this front side hip. So the front side hip that was just contracting is now being stretched through the hip extension. The glute is pushing her into a deeper stretch as hard as you can. Find the best stretch for 5 more seconds, but when we relax, but we do not leave the stretch. 3, 2, relax, tone down, but she stays in this stretch. Find this deep hip flexor stretch. You should have opened up a little bit of new range, so she should be able to find a new place here. Breathe, big slow breaths. Now we want recovery breaths. That's slow breath into the nose, long slow breath out through the mouth. Slow breath into the nose, long slow breath out through the mouth. Okay, so now, again, we need to stay in this position and we need to find that hip flexor. So it might be that you open it up a little and you can get a little bit deeper into this stretch, but you want to find the hip flexor without going into the low back. You ready, Shannon? We're going to go for a second round. Again, working up to 100% effort, but not jumping there. We're going to work up through the volume dial. We're going to go slow, but we're going to find 100% effort. 100% effort should be hard. If you're not making faces, if you're not sweating, your arm isn't working hard. If your front leg isn't working hard, you're doing something wrong. This is maximum effort. All right? When I say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you should be so glad that you got to 0. All right? Get ready. Big breath in. Below the ribs on. Good. Feet digs down. Arm digs down. 20%. All right? So now you're working. 30% is working. 40% is working, but still not that hard. As we dial that up, 50, 60%, now we're working hard. 70, 80% is really hard. And now we're going up 90, 100% safest, greatest effort. This stuff right here, she's scooping forward through that hip flexor as hard as she possibly can. Knee is digging into the floor and forward for 5, 4, arm is digging down. 3, 2, switch to rails, extend through the hip, kick through the glute. The glute is trying to push her into a deeper hip extended position. Her glute is pushing her hip flexor is stretching. It's as if she could do that. Let it push you just a little bit. Find a deeper stretch. Push as hard as you can. Make the glute cramp. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Relax and breathe in this stretch. All right, we're going to stay here. We're just going to go into a different set of tails and rails here for knee flexion and extension. Yep, stand up for a second, shake it out if you need. So you can stand up for a second, Shannon, I'll demonstrate. So we're going to go, we're going to stay on that same leg, whatever leg it was, but we're going to do knee flexion and extension. So knee flexion, knee extension, right? So from this position, knee extension is going to be as if you could straighten your leg. So I'm trying to straighten my leg through the floor, this back leg over here. Clearly it has no place to go. I'm using my quad. I'm thinking about doing a leg extension. Imagine doing a quad extension on the curl machine, on the leg extension machine at the gym. So I'm trying to extend through this leg. We're going to work up to, again, 100% effort. And this is real 100% because quads are strong muscles. You've worked your quads before. You can do 100% effort here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 100% effort. Rails are going to be a hamstring curl. But because we're not in end range, normally when we do pails and rails, we're in our end range. Meaning when I go rails, nothing happens. So when I did the hip extension, nothing happened because we're in end range. Here, I'm not in my true end range. So when I go to rails, I'm actually going to lift up a little bit. I want you to squeeze so hard that this hamstring stuff cramps. I want your heel to try to touch your butt, but without dumping forward. Nothing else should change. So when we're going pails down to the floor, I'm going to say switch rails. You're going to squeeze your heel to your butt. I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. Nothing else changes, but the heel is trying to get to the butt. You're trying to touch this to this. This is gonna cramp, all right? That's what we're going for. We're looking for hamstring cramps. Yeah, same leg. Same leg, we're gonna do 2 rounds of this, and then we're gonna switch and we're gonna do both on the opposite leg. So whichever leg you just did Pales rails for hip flexion and extension, now we're doing knee flexion and extension. So knee extension is first, that's the Pales effort, and that's extending your leg into the floor with your best quad extension. Same rules apply. This front leg is working. This arm is creating tension. This arm is creating tension. Ready? All right, she's ready. Big breath in, blow hard. All right, 20% kick down to the floor. So she's using this quad to extend the leg down. It can't move. 30%, 40%. Ramp up slowly, but find 100%. This is true 100% effort. Your quad is strong. The quad has a lot of juice in it. Think about that quad extension machine. Think about a squat. Think about all the times you use your quads and find that deep quad stuff. 100% effort. 100%. So if I came and tried to lift this up, I can't. Shannon is pushing down. Push, push, push into my hand. Push into my hand. Push into my hand. 3, 2, 1. Now squeeze. Make this cramp. Don't let this come forward. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Get away from my hand. Get away from my hand. Get away from my hand. As hard as you can. Make it cramp. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Get away from my finger. Get away. 3, 2, relax. Good job. All right. Again, if you're not working hard there, if your hamstring doesn't want to cramp, you're not doing hard enough. This is all about you. You make this as hard as you can. If you give a 20% effort, you're going to get 20% results. You give 100% effort, you are going to see changes. It sucks every time, I know. Cramp City. This is the fast lane to Cramp City. Sometimes we take the slow road to Cramp City. This is express lane. Express lane to Cramp City, first class seat. All right, but because this is strong tissue, because the hamstrings and the quads are strong, we're not going to rest for long here. We're going to go right into it and hammer that second set so we can switch leg. All right, you ready? So checklist still applies. Front leg, create tension. Heel digs down to the floor. You find that bottom hamstring. Find this hamstring. Good. Push through the stick. This arm. Big breath in. Big breath out. All right, extend into the floor. Quad extension. Quad extension. Think about that quad. Think about this doing the work. Think about that quad. You want to find it mentally. Again, the intent is everything. Intent, intent, intent. Work up to 100%. Ramp yourself up. Find 100% effort. When you get to 100%, hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and switch. Hamstring curl, hamstring curl, hamstring curl. I'm going to give Shannon an extra resistance. Push my hand, push my finger. Close the gap, close the gap, close the gap. Close it. 5, as hard as you can. 4, 3, 2, good, relax. Good, you see, just a finger, just that little bit of resistance changes the game. It's everything. So little things like that make a huge, huge difference. All right, we're gonna rest for a second, but find the other leg and find that, all right. While you're resting, while we're switching sides, find that other side hip flexor and try to breathe for a few seconds in that half kneeling position because we're starting with those hip flexion, extension, tails, rails. So remember to tuck the toe. You can stand up, shake it out, whatever you need. So remember to tuck the toe, and now we're thinking big Texas belt buckle up to the sky to find this front side hip. We're making sure that we're not arching through the low back. We're just breathing here for a few seconds. We're gonna rapid fire these and get everything ready to go. All right, big breath in. This foot digs into the floor, this hamstring is on, big breath out, good. And now we're thinking scooping the knee up and forward through this hip flexor. This is what's doing the work. 20%, 30%, 40%, working up to 50, 60, dialing up 70%, push down through that stick, 100% safest, greatest effort, 100% as if you could do this. Make all of this stuff work. Make it work, make it cramp for 5, 4, 3, 2. Now extend through this glute, push yourself deeper, right? Your foot is firing back through the glute to push yourself into a deeper hip extended position, really stretching that hip flexor for 5. Make it cramp 4, 3, 2, stay here, relax, but stay here. Don't leave the position. Breathe into that hip flexor. You're in a deeper hip extended position, right? You're opening up the hips here. Breathe there for a second. This is about being comfortable in the uncomfortable. As soon as you relax, you want to just dump out of it. Don't do that. Don't give in. Stay in this uncomfortable position because that's how you make it comfortable over time. The more you can stay in uncomfortable positions now, the more those positions will become comfortable. Ready to go again? Big breath in. Big breath out. Blow hard. Stick down to the floor. Front leg check. All right? Push. Scoop through the floor. Scoop that knee up and forward, up and forward, up and forward. Knee someone in front of you. Really get all that tension as much as you can. Find this front hip flexor. This is what's doing all the work, all the work, all the work for 5, 4, as hard as you can, as hard as you can, as hard as you can. 3, 2, and now extend, extend. Kick through that glute, kick through that glute, kick through that glute. Push yourself into the deepest hip flexor stretch you've ever felt. Push, 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 push as hard as you can for 5, 4, 3, 2, relax, but stay. Take 3 deep breaths here. You always want to take a few deep breaths and relax into this new position. Just try to stay there. You take 3 breaths, then you can come out of it, stretch, get some water, and we're going to go into knee extension and flexion on the same leg, 2 rounds. All right. You're going to stretch it out. You're going to stand up for a sec, or you're good? Good. Shake it out. It's always fine. When you're doing this on video, you have the luxury. Pause the video, get some water, rewind, listen to it again. This stuff is confusing if you've never done it before. This stuff is confusing if you've done it 100 times. Right? It's confusing for me, it's confusing for her. This stuff is hard. But doing the hard stuff is where you get the most results. Don't worry about pausing it. Don't worry about going at this speed. Worry about doing the work and putting in the effort. You ready? All right, big breath in. Go hard. Front leg is working. Back leg is kicking down into the floor, using that quad to extend 20%, 30%, 40%. We're working up quickly to 100%, 50, 60, 70, 100% quad extension. 100% she's thinking about contracting the quad, 100% kicking to the ground, leave a dent in the floor. Right, again, I shouldn't be able to lift her leg, just pushing down so hard for 3, 2, 1, and now squeeze without moving anything else. Perfect. Squeeze. Get away from my hand. Get away from my hand. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. Squeeze it as hard as you can. As hard as you can. Make it cramp. 5, 4, 3, 2. Relax. 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 Good job.
One day you can stop cramping.
One day it'll stop cramping. I don't know. I don't know. Legend has it. Legend has it that it gets easier one day. I haven't found a day. I don't know what day that is. I'd love to check in the calendar. I don't know what day that is and it gets easier. Alright, you ready? Let's just fire off this last round and get it done with. Alright, big breath in. And yeah, you can see also too, Shannon is holding this one stick. That's just because that's what we have here. If you had 2 sticks, that would be even better. Again, if you had a wall that you could grab or a gate or a fence, the more upper body tension you can create, the more stuff you can grab onto. The foot grabbing the floor, 2 arms grabbing something, the better. Because again, the more upper body tension and front leg tension you create, the more back leg tension you can create. So don't think that you can win a prize by balancing. Don't think that just this stick is not ideal because this is what we have at our disposal. If you had 2 sticks that you could hold on to, that would be so much better. You have, again, a chair on each side, a table on each side, something. The more tension you can create and really squeeze and push down into the floor, the more juice you're going to get out of this. All right, you ready? Big breath in. Push. Front leg. Activate. Abs are on, and now push down to the floor. Extend. This is the motion she's trying to do. She's trying to kick through the floor, ramping up to 100% effort. Again, the quads are strong muscles, so I'm going to let her ramp herself up quickly and get to that 100% as fast as you can. And then when you get to 100%, we're going to hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, bite my hand, 5, bite my hand, extend, 4, 3, 2, and switch. Get away from my hand, get away from my hand, get away from my hand, and now push my hand, push it, push it. Push it, squeeze, push it, squeeze, as hard as you can. 5, 4, 3, 2, relax. Good job, relax. Come out of it, stretch, shake it out. All right, so now we're going to work some movement patterns that you probably know through kinetic stretching. Kinetic stretching is when we use the muscles that we were just working. So we just worked isometrically, meaning Shannon tried to use her hip flexors to move her knee, but it didn't move. It went to the ground and worked isometrically. Or she tried to extend her knee, but it didn't move because the ground was there. So that's an isometric contraction. Now we're going to use kinetic stretching, which is going to use those same muscles, but now we're going to take the floor away or take the block away and use those to create movement. So we're going to do a single leg RDL, which is something that you guys may know. Everyone does these things, right? A lot of people see them at the gym, but a lot of people do them in a way that I don't like them because they're just kind of flopping around, right? They're just doing this, right? They're maybe hitting their glutes and hamstrings, but they're using a lot of calf, they're using a lot of low back, they're using a lot of upper back. So instead, we're going to slow it down and we're going to find those muscles that we're going to use to do, that we're supposed to be doing the motion. So we're going to kinetic stretch. We're going to think about that contraction that Shannon did first, which was scooping the knee up. But now the foot is planted and we're squeezing those front hip flexors to pull us into a hip flex position here. So that's pulling us into the bottom of the RDL. Then when we find here, we're going to use the glute only and squeeze the glute to pull us back to a standing position. So the key is here, when I'm here, I'm not just standing up, because again, I use my low back there, I use my calf, I use a lot of things. We're thinking about not just leaning forward, but we're thinking about using the hip flexor to pull us into this hip flex position. And then we're thinking about using the glute to pull us into a standing hip extended position. That make sense? You're going to use this for balance. Again, this is not a balancing act. You don't get extra prizes or extra tickets for balancing. So Shannon's going to stand on one leg. It doesn't matter which leg you start with. She's going to go into her knee slightly unlocked. And if you really can't balance here, it's fine to have your foot on the floor. So Shannon could do this if she wanted to. That doesn't matter again. So she has a slight bend in her knee. Her knee is not super locked, slightly bent. And she's going to think about, big breath in, big breath out, create tension here. And she's thinking about contracting this hip flexor, the same hip flexor we just worked, to pull her forward as she thinks about scooting her butt back. Pull yourself deep into it, pull. And when you can't get any lower, she's going to hold there for a second, keep pulling with that front hip flexor, and now squeeze the glute only, squeeze the glute to stand up. So you see how slow she's moving? That's because she's only using one singular muscle. You can do this fast, but you're going to use a lot more stuff, right? So now we're thinking, this is squeezing to pull her. She's thinking about closing a car door with her butt. So this right side is coming back and out. I don't want this hip to spin up. So if this hip is opening up like this, that means again, you're doing something wrong because you're not actually getting this right side hip. Now she's going to squeeze that right side glute to come up. Every time as she's on her way down, when she's using her front hip flexor, we're just doing 5 of these. She's thinking about closing the car door. So imagine you got a car door or refrigerator door behind you, and you had to kind of poke your hip back to close it. You will find that glute. So you should feel at the bottom of this hip flex position a good stretch in this working side glute. If you don't, again, you're probably doing something wrong. You're probably opening up through the pelvis. You're probably just not somewhere that you need to be. Squeeze the hip flexor. This is rotating down, rotate down. There you go. You see her knee is slightly bent, but she's not going into a crazy amount of knee bend. You don't want to turn this into a squat. That's 4, one more time. It's just 5 reps. 5 reps take a long time when you're working hard, when you're using the right muscles to create motion. This is not about leaning forward and standing up, leaning forward and stand up. This is about let your hip flexor pull you into a hip flex position, and then let your glute pull you out of that flexion into extension. Good. Good, hard stuff, good. All right, we're gonna switch legs, we're gonna go right to the other side. So again, as she's using now this left hip flexor to pull her, she's thinking about closing the car door with her left butt and making sure the right butt doesn't spin out. Spin it down, yes. And then the left side butt only squeezes to stand her back up. Reset the breath at the top every time. Big breath in, big breath out. Because I don't want any movement through the spine. She's leaning at the hips here. She is not flexing through her spine. There's no movement in her low back here, right? This is not moving. The angle is changing, but she's not flexing through the spine like we did when we did those cat-cows in the beginning, right? That's the important thing. This is stable. And that only happens when you use that out-breath, right? All these things are coming together. All the pieces that we've been practicing since the beginning of class, they come together. There's a rhyme and a reason to all this. Squeeze the front here, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. When you get to the bottom and you can't get any more, squeeze it for another second. Squeeze it, flex it, make it cramp. And then squeeze that glute. The glute is what powers you up. You're not just standing up. You can just stand up here in an instant. That would be easy. That's not what we're doing. We're trying to make this hard. Okay, this is internal training. You decide how hard this can be. This should be hard. Squeeze that hip flexor. See her toes are gripping the floor. That's important. Her hand is pushing down to the stick. Again, 2 sticks would be even better. A wall would be great. A chair, a table. Squeeze that glute. Squeeze. Make the glute cramp. Squeeze. And when you get to the top, keep squeezing for a second. Find that, find that hip, find that glute. Good. One more time. Pull into the deepest hip flex position you have. Blow hard. Blow, 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 blow. Good. Hold that. Squeeze here, squeeze here, squeeze here. And now glute, glute, glute. Glute, 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 glute. Don't use the arm, don't use the spine. Glute, glute, glute. Finish here, finish here, finish here. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Make it cramp. Good. All right, stay here for a sec. All right, lay down on your back. Lay down on your back with your feet by this. So if you guys don't have a foam roller, get one. They're like $10. But if not, this could be, again, a water bottle. So scoot back a little. Legs kind of straight. So think about a knee bend like you were mid-gait. So like almost extended, not so much, again, even more. So like almost all the way extended. Then I want the balls of your feet on the foam roller. Okay? So again, yeah, if you don't have a foam roller, that's okay. This could be anything, but a foam roller is the best thing that we can do for it because this really is where we're going to challenge. So I want, reach up to the sky. Big reach. Big breath in. Big breath out. And now we're going to bridge up through the balls of the feet. Pushing down to the foam roller, good. And hold. So this hamstring stuff is on fire right now. Breathe. We're holding for time. Don't let the hips fall. Squeeze all of this. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. We're holding for 30 seconds here. You got 10 more seconds. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. If you don't make it for the whole 30 seconds, that's fine, but that's something to work towards. 3, 2, 1. Control it down. Good job. How's that?
Lit up.
Lit up. All right, we're gonna do another round of that. Rest for a second. Do you want to try to make it harder?
Yeah.
All right, so Shannon's gonna try to make it harder because she's a masochist. So we're gonna go for single legs. But if you didn't get through the full 30 seconds, don't try that. Try to just, again, work up for time. I would ideally be able to get to where you can do both legs for about 45 seconds, maybe even a minute before you even try single leg, but I know that Shannon has very strong hamstrings and maybe we haven't done this exact thing before, but she's done similar stuff, so I'm not worried. So again, when her knee angle, I want it to be almost extended a slight bend. So think about, again, how you would look if you were like walking or running or something. That's what this is meant to imitate. So we're trying to strengthen your calf and your hamstrings in this normal gait stance. All right, so big breath in, big reach. We're gonna lift with both feet first. So bring this a little bit under your feet more. There you go. We're gonna lift through both. And now we're just gonna bring one foot, bring that hip flexor in. Yep, bring your knee in. Good, squeeze, squeeze, up, up, up. Hamstring curl here, hamstring curl. There you go. Pull this in more. Pull this in. Up. 5, 4, 3, 2. Don't drop down, let's switch legs. Get that leg in control first. Good. Knee in, hamstring curl here, 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 here. Big reach, big reach, big reach. 5, 4, 3, 2, relax, relax, relax. Good, bring it down. All right, so Shannon had to run. I'm going to be finishing up the rest of this class with you guys. So just like we did the kinetic stretch from that, for the RDL where we use the hip flexor to pull us in and the glute to pull us out, we're gonna come back and do a similar thing with the lunge, right? Or a split squat because we're not gonna be stepping. So we're gonna start in this position and we're gonna think about doing a split squat, which is just down and up. But again, we're using that kinetic stretch mentality of I wanna pull myself down into the stretch, into the bottom position, and then extend out of it. So when I am lowering myself down, instead of just doing gravity, I'm thinking about that hamstring curl that we've been doing to create that scissoring motion, and also the hamstring curl that we did from the rails contraction in the half kneeling position in the beginning to create that pull. So instead of just dropping down, I'm thinking about curling both of my hamstrings to pull me down into the bottom. And then when I get down, I'm thinking about extending both of my knees through my quads to press me back up. Same idea as a split squat or a lunge, but it just becomes a little more challenging. You can use a stick for balance, but if you're using a stick or a wall or a chair for balance, what I want to make sure is that you're not resting your weight on it. You're using it for balance is fine, but you're not using it as a crutch to like take the weight of your upper body or your lower body. If you have the balance, if you want to do it, this you can do hands-free because this is not the most challenging balance thing that you can do. All right, so it's just like we did with the RDLs. We're going to go 5 reps here. So I'm going to do the same cues applied. Big breath in. Blow my ribs to my pelvis. Create tension in my upper body. Now I'm thinking hamstring curl on both legs to pull myself into the bottom of this lunge. And then I'm going to extend up. One full extension. Hamstring curl down. Slow, controlled reps. Quad extension up. 2 5 reps on each side. Hamstring curl down. Slow. Hold at the bottom here and pull. Hamstring curl more, hamstring curl more, hamstring curl more. Now extend up. Extend up, extend more, extend more. Make the quad cramp, make the quad cramp. That's 3. Hamstring curl down. Hold. Extend up. That's 4. Hamstring curl down. Extend up. That's 5. Alright, and we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. We're just going to jump right into it. So again, find your balance. Create tension in the upper body. Big breath in, big breath out, and now hamstring curl both legs all the way down. You get to the bottom, don't let your knee touch the floor, but keep curling the hamstrings. Isometrically contract, and now extend through the knees. Quad extension to bring yourself up. Hamstring curl down, hamstring curl down, hamstring curl down. Isometric contraction at the bottom, you're no more movement, but you're still squeezing. Quad extension up, extend up. 2 full extension, really keep through these quads, curl down. Extend up. Curl down. Again, fighting for more, fight for extra squeeze at the bottom. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze here. Extend up. Make these cramps, squeeze at the top, squeeze the quads, last one. Curl down, curl down, curl down. Extend up, extend up, extend up. Ooh, sweaty. All right, last thing, we're gonna finish with a kinetic stretch squat. Same idea. Instead of just dropping down, I'm going to think about pulling myself into a squat. And I pull myself by flexing the hips, flexing the knees, flexing the ankles, right? So all the stuff that we've been working on, we're just putting it all together. So as I'm pulling myself down, I'm thinking about closing these joints, closing these to pull myself down. And then I'm thinking about extending through my quads, extending through my glutes, extending through my feet to come up. And we're just gonna come, I'm gonna set a timer. We're just gonna do up and down like that for 1 full minute. So each time, just like at the bottom of that lunge or at the bottom of the RDL, when you get to the bottom position, you're gonna squeeze out a little bit extra millimeter. You're gonna hold that isometric contraction for a second. And then when you get to the top, same thing. So I'm gonna pull myself as far as I can to the bottom of the squat, squeeze there for a second, then reverse. Extend myself up to the top of the squat. When I extend, I'm squeezing my glutes, I'm squeezing my quads, and then I'm gonna go right back into it. We're just going for time here. 1 full minute. And if your squat isn't as deep as mine, don't worry about that. What is you get to your bottom position. Wherever you can get to while keeping your heels on the floor, your toes on the floor, while not rounding through your upper back or your mid back. So even if you're only doing this, the point is that you're pulling yourself into it, extending yourself out of it. Pull yourself in by pulling through your hip flexors, pulling through your hamstrings, pulling through the front of your feet, and then extend out by gas pedaling down through the floor, extend through the quads, extend through the glutes, right? So 3 things pull, then the 3 things extend. Get ready? Again, 1 full minute. And take a big deep breath in, and then I'm gonna think pull my hip flexors down, my hamstrings are pulling down, my feet are pulling down. When I get to the bottom position, I'm gonna pull a little bit harder, and I'm gonna gas pedal my feet to the floor. I'm gonna think about my quads extending just like we were doing. Think about my glutes extending, squeezing, squeeze at the top, and right back into it. Pull down, pull down, pull down. Extend, 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 extend. Squeeze at the top. Another one. Pull down, pull down, pull down. All the way, get to your basement, get to your bottom. Extend, 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 extend. Squeeze the quads, squeeze the glutes. 1 more rep here, we have time for 1 more rep. Pull everything down. Your hips are pulling, your hip flexors are pulling you in, your hamstrings are pulling you in. Your front of your shins are pulling you in here. Pull all the way down. Squeeze it, pull it more. Flex those hips, flex those hamstrings, squeeze. And now extend, push down through the floor with your feet. Push with your quads. Squeeze your glutes to stand up. Squeeze your glutes at the top. Good, walk it out. All right, we're gonna finish up with some standing hip cars. I'm going to use this pole for balance. I have this little ball here. If you have something like this would be great. A tennis ball, a lacrosse ball, a softball. The smaller it is, the harder it's going to be. So a bigger ball like a softball might be better. A water bottle would be fine too. And what we're going to do is put this behind the knee. So I'm going to have to squeeze my hamstring to keep that ball there the entire time. So the goal is to go through the full hip car while holding the ball in your knee. Another way to make this easier or harder, the higher you have it by your knee pit, the easier it's going to be. Easy in air quotes. See, I can't even get it up here, but if I can hold it up here, that would be really, really hard. Ooh, that's challenging. All right, so you're going to put the ball there. Find something good for balance. Again, a wall, a chair, a table, not a stick like this. Ideally, you have something with both hands you can balance on. But for you guys, I'm going to just have to deal with this. So I'm going to squeeze here. So I'm already creating tension in my hamstring, squeezing my calf to hold that ball. I'm going to go breathe. Knee up to the sky. Open to the side. Rotate up. Don't lose the tension on the ball. Don't lose the ball as we finish the circle. My circle is much smaller here because I'm squeezing my hamstring. It becomes much more of a challenge. Try to go as slow as possible. Ooh, try to squeeze that ball. Really upset that Shannon left right now. Open to the side. Rotate, rotate, rotate as you kick back. We're putting all the pieces together. Everything we worked on in today's class is coming together to create these last few movements. Give it everything you got. These are the last things we're doing. That's 2. Let's go for 1. But we'll go for 3 on each side. Knee high. Opens up. Squeeze that ball. Make it pop. Squeeze the ball. Finding tension with this stick. I'm going to find the ball, squeezing that ball. I'm really, really trying to pop that ball. I'm finding tension with the stick. You have both hands on the stick because that's how we find more tension and more balance. Take a knee up,
Open to the side. Rotate. Try not to move. Try not to rock my body. Whoa, this is hard. Extend. You see very little, small circle, but I'm trying to make it bigger. One, we're doing 3 circles. The slower you can go, the better it's going to be. Up, open, rotate, extend, open, rotate, down, up, open. Ooh, 3 full hip cars. That was extremely challenging. If your hamstring isn't cramping, you're not working hard enough. All right? Do this class, do it again and again and again. Your hips will feel better. When your hips feel better, your back will feel better. When your hips feel better, your knees will feel better. Everything comes from the hips. The hips are literally the center of our body. The core and the hips, everything we worked on today is so, so, so important. Work on that breath work. I cannot overemphasize how important this class is. Do it a million times. You will see a benefit. Hit me up with comments, hit me up with questions. Have a good day.